It's Monday, September 16th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we have a very important interview with the Regional Tobacco Control Director on the latest e-cigarette and vaping dangers. And we check in at the Center for Professional and Workforce Training at Cape Cod Community College on a new grant-funded Management Academy program. Now for a look at municipal and legislative notes. From Marine and Environmental Affairs, mariners are advised that an oil spill exercise will be conducted in Lewis Bay in the vicinity of the Steamship Authority Terminal on Tuesday, September 17th from approximately 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. An oil spill boom will be deployed in the water, and vessels with the Hyannis and Yarmouth Fire Departments and Harbor Master's offices will be operating in the area. Access to portions of the northeast corner of Lewis Bay east of the Steamship Authority Terminal may be affected during this time, including the Gary Brown boat ramp. Mariners are advised to use caution when transiting the area. Among youth, e-cigarettes are more popular than any traditional tobacco product. In 2015, the U.S. Surgeon General reported that e-cigarette use among high school students had increased by 900%, and 40% of young e-cigarette users had never smoked regular tobacco. As of Friday, there have been more than 450 possible cases of lung illnesses associated with using e-cigarettes reported to the CDC across 33 states and the U.S. Virgin Islands. We invited Bob Collette, Barnstable County's Tobacco Control Division Program Director, to the studio to learn more. Vaping, e-cigarettes, now in the news, now killing young adults. With me today from the county, Bob Collette. You run the regional program for tobacco here on Barnstable County as well as in the state. You advise municipalities across the Cape and Islands. This is truly frightening. You were here a year ago to talk about the dangers of these products, the jewels, and we did a nice little demonstration of what they look like. Where are we right now?
Well, we're entering some really scary territory here, Paula. As you've noticed on local and national television broadcasts over the past several weeks, we are now experiencing some of the public health outcomes that we feared the most, but did expect as a result of the explosion of the use of these products by young people across the United States.
All right. So children as young as middle school, which in our case is usually that 5th, 6th grade,
right,
are starting with these products. They seem harmless enough in their mind. They don't seem like that traditional cigarette or tobacco product that has been taboo and that we've worked really hard to have young people not pick up as a habit. Where do you see this right now? Is it still that young age is where this is starting?
There are a few that start at the very youngest ages, and the lowest age that we've heard of, as for example, is the 4th grade, where there have been a couple of kids that have admitted to using these things in school. But of course, that's rare. It's mostly the middle school, just like it was before. The 14-year-olds are the specific age group that the industry targets with their billions of dollars of marketing money, and they target that specific age group knowing that they're very vulnerable at that age. So when they're transpiring from middle school into high school, they want to find a way to look cooler, tougher, more mature, a little sexier, whatever it happens to be that they want to be. They just want to be socially accepted, and in their perception is that everybody is using this stuff. And so that's what kind of drives the initiation of these products for young people. So what's happened is that whereby we were able to reduce the cigarette use prevalence among young people to 6% over a 25-year period, down from 35%, through a lot of work on the local level, state level, and federal level, and lots of education. They are now using these products at about a 25% rate among all young people. And they report back on these youth risk behavior surveys that they've used these, in the past 30 days. And it's about 20% of them that we can confidently say use them on a daily basis.
On a daily basis?
Yeah, so we're very concerned. There are a lot of health issues coming forth, and we sort of knew this was coming, but anybody that understands public health realizes that it takes several years for the outcomes to develop and for the data to be collected in a usable form, so that we have evidence-based data now that these things are extremely dangerous. It's another whole generation of kids that are going to be addicted, and it's unacceptable and downright frightening.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the product and how addictive it is. So cigarettes had nicotine in them.
Right.
These Juuls, one of these cartridges is a pack of cigarettes?
Right. For instance, the Juul, which commands 75% of the e-cigarette market,
right,
uses what they call a pod. So they come in packages of 4, which sell for about $15, thereby making it cheaper than cigarettes for the user. So if they're using a pod has roughly the equivalent amount of nicotine as a package of cigarettes. So, and then we're hearing anecdotally that sometimes kids are using a whole pod in just a couple hours' time. So imagine smoking an entire pack of cigarettes in a 2-hour period. You know,
as a former smoker, I can't even imagine that.
Right. It's no wonder the school nurses are reporting spikes in visits to the office with the symptoms that are associated with nicotine toxicity, nicotine withdrawal for the kids that aren't using it in school, but they're using it widely in the schools, in the classroom, in the hallway, of course in the restrooms, and any nook and cranny that they can find. It's a real conundrum, and the school administrators and teachers and nurses, they just don't have an answer for it. There's not enough staff and staff time for people to be chasing the kids around that are using these products. And they're so concealable. They just look like a little flash drive. They're really techy looking, and that's a lot of what the appeal is as well. Besides the fact that they can use them much more easily than cigarettes for a number of reasons. First of all, they're a lot more tolerable because they come in a wide range of flavors, and they don't have the harshness that
it's not
cigarette
smoke.
does.
You said it was an aerosol.
It's an aerosol.
Yeah.
They call it vape, but it's actually an aerosol, which again, human lungs are not equipped to deal with. Vape would imply that it's more of just a water drop, but that's not what it is. There are several chemicals in the aerosol, including heavy metals, polyethylene glycol, diacetyl, like I said, lipoids, and other things too that we're finding now are making people very ill and killing them.
Right, and they're attaching to the lungs, and the lungs literally have no idea what to do with these types of chemicals that are being ingested.
There is no defense mechanism within the lungs to process these chemicals and fat molecules, and so they are therefore becoming clogged. And if you look at an X-ray of a user of these products, it's causing what's called pneumonitis, which is sort of a form of a pneumonia, and very difficult to deal with. It makes one feel like they're sort of drowning. It causes a world of other health issues along with it.
My goodness. So we know, having spoke to the superintendent at the beginning of the school year, that Barnstable School District, and specifically the high school, middle school area, is really trying to deal with this in more of a cessation way, rather than being a disciplinary action, go to Saturday school.
Right.
These kids need help now. It's just like anyone else trying to quit a habit that has some addictive properties to it. So what are some advice that you have for parents and guardians that are dealing with this? I mean, they may find these things, but they don't, you can't just take it away. They're going to find it again. Barnstable's banned it except for certain places, but they can go to another town and get it. Is there mechanisms and things that parents can do?
Well, kids typically react to graphic images in a positive way. So that's one thing that you can show them. Sit down and have a logical conversation with them. Don't be judgmental or punish them in any way for what they're doing. Most of the kids don't understand that they're doing something that's harmful to them. And even though their education level about it now is a lot higher than it was, say, a year ago, when they
Right.
thought it was completely harmless. And some of the products are in fact labeled as having zero nicotine when in fact they do.
Okay.
One of the big problems with them, all of these products, is that there is no regulatory oversight of the manufacturing process. So people are making these things in their garages, or who knows, their bathtubs. They label it whatever way they want in terms of how much nicotine they want to claim is in it, per use. And most of the time, there are some that say 0 milligrams of nicotine. When they've been tested, they do indicate that there is nicotine. So, the kids don't understand this. They don't read the labels. Within 2 weeks of initiation, they're addicted. And the industry knows this, that's why they market to the 14-year-olds, and they know that they do this knowing that they'll have a customer on an average of 20 years. So what I do when I have the rare opportunity to speak with kids is to also do a math lesson. Okay, this is what you're doing. How much is a 4-pack of these pods? Multiply that if you're using 2 pods a week, let's say, 2 packs a week, and then multiply that out over the average length of addiction, 20 years, and then, it comes out to around $60,000. So when you share that information with the kids, they're directing billions of dollars at you, 14 and 15-year-olds. This is how much it's going to cost you. They know that they're going to get that money from you, and you can equate that number with, down payment for a home, or what kind of a vehicle would you like, or where would you like to go on vacation, or what have you. When the kids know that they're being played, as they would say, that's effective.
Right.
That hits home.
Right.
So you're not lecturing them, you're just showing them the facts. And I always, when I've done tobacco cessation, is to have people draw a family tree, and let's go back 2 or 3 generations. Who smoked, who didn't, the illnesses that each developed and what they might have died from, and at what ages and so forth, and just share that information. As we all know, young people sort of have this immortal attitude when they're young. They're usually young and very healthy and have no thoughts of what might happen 50 or 60 years down the road. Or, in these cases, 3 or 4 years down the road. Right. For some of these unfortunate young people who have recently passed away or become extremely ill as a result of using these products.
All right. Before we wrap up, are there resources for parents out on the web that they can go to? I did check out the CDC page yesterday. Has very strong warnings right now.
Yes.
But are there resources that they can use locally here?
Yes. First of all, you could access the Make Smoking History website. That it goes to the Massachusetts Tobacco Control Program, which is a division of the Mass Department of Public Health, and also the U.S. Surgeon General, the National Institutes of Health, the CDC, like you just mentioned, which just did issue a very strong advisory, the FDA, which needs to do a lot more work on this. The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids is another very important and impactful website that you can use. What I also would suggest on the flip side of that is for all parents to take a look at YouTube and spend 20 minutes and researching or looking at juuling or vaping videos that the kids put up on YouTube. It's astonishing, and what an education you can get just from watching that. So they have an idea of what the kids are doing. Like I said, a lot of times they think that these illnesses might be a result, and the deaths might be a result of people using these as not only nicotine delivery devices, but drug delivery devices as well. Right. So they're mixing it with, they're mixing the nicotine liquid with THC oils and other products as well. And anything that can be liquefied can actually be ingested through this means.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we kind of like just caution all parents out there, guardians, really it needs to start before middle school, right? This education, what's the youngest age you would recommend parents to start talking about this issue?
3rd, 4th, 5th grade, easily. I think with any subject, you have to be really honest with kids and open what your expectations are. They understand it at that age, and if you start pointing out examples of health consequences of using this and other things, you know, at a very young age, that's very impactful for young people. And just make sure that you reinforce that expectation with them. Again, without being, you know, judgmental of the people who are using it. And, you know, that you're pointing out as examples. But your expectation is that you'll never use anything like this. And if you ever have a problem, you know, to be able to feel comfortable enough to speak with you about it as a parent. Because there are a lot of frustrated, really great parents out there right now that whose kids are using this and these products, and they're just, you know, dumbfounded as to what to do about it. Because the kids are addicted to the nicotine. Again, they don't think it's really harmful, and they're getting it. They're still getting it, and even though it's become much more difficult to get these products online than it was, say, a year ago, because the FDA had taken some hardline action against the bigger, you know, companies to require them to make it more difficult with their age verification systems and so forth. They still get them from the brick and mortar retailers through some means. And by all means, the parents, unfortunately, are still buying these things for kids. Ought not to be, and it is illegal to do that now. You cannot go in and buy any sort of nicotine delivery product for your own kids. It's against the law.
Right, so perfect advice. Thanks so much for this update, Bob. It's eye-opening and it's incredibly frightening.
Thank you, Paula. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Successful leadership and management in today's business world, increasingly demanding global and diverse workplace, requires perseverance, creativity, flexibility, and practical knowledge. The Center for Corporate and Professional Education is offering high-level workplace training programs through a small business direct access program grant from the Workforce Training Fund to help emerging and existing executives across their organizations reach new levels of success. For companies and organizations looking to achieve an increased competitive advantage, Tammy Jacobson, Director of Workforce Development and Training for the Center for Corporate and Professional Education, has details on the Grant-Funded Management Academy program. With me today, Tammy Jacobson from the Center for Corporate and Professional Education. We're going to talk management leadership. There's a new grant-funded program that's very exciting for your facility. Tell us a little bit about what the Center for Professional and Corporate Education actually does, and then we'll get into the program.
Sure. So we offer professional development opportunities and workplace training programs for individuals and also employers on the Cape and in Plymouth. We have staggered starts to some of our courses that we schedule during the course of a semester, and then we also offer on-site customized training for employers as well.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about this management leadership. It caught my eye when I saw it because there's been a lot of talk about leadership on Cape Cod and you know, how managers, it's different being a manager nowadays than it was 30, 40 years ago.
Sure. So we were grant funded through Commonwealth Corporation, who administers the Workforce Training Fund grant, and they awarded us funds to offer, it's almost 2 years long, 2 different programs. One's Management Academy program and the other one's a Senior Leadership program. And we'll be offering those throughout the course of each semester in different locations for individuals to attend. And they are really focused on training existing managers within small businesses. So we're looking at companies with 100 or less of employees. So knowing that they don't always have the ability to get access to high quality training, that was our focus this round for them. If they're companies that are eligible for the grant actually have to go through a simple application process. It's online. It's through what's called the Massachusetts Exchange portal. and this helps them identify if they are eligible. Most for-profit businesses who pay into unemployment are eligible for this fund. And they are granted eligibility and access, and they can enroll into the programs as whatever dates that they feel that would work best for them.
Right. And professional development, it always seems like, managers tend to be so focused on managing that they kind of forget that they need some of this ongoing professional development as well to help their team.
Sure.
So talk a little bit about what this course is really going to entail.
Sure. So especially our Management Academy, it's really focused on coaching existing managers. So helping them identify the time that they have, that they can start to think about performance improvement for their employees or performance metrics, thinking about communication, barriers to communications, open channels of communication, different ways to communicate to different individuals that they work with, and also looking at their teams and identifying which groups of people, depending on personality traits and the way they work, would work well together and complement each other. So it really gives them some insight into those specific skills, that skill set, and actually how to make their teams a little bit more productive.
Right. So this is in a physical location, it's not online?
It is not online, it's in a physical location.
Okay.
It's 4 6-hour sessions is how it's set up. The first one kicks off in Hyannis, which is full at this point, starting on September 20th, I apologize. And then we have one in Plymouth starting up on October 2nd, which is still enrolling. We will be back in Hyannis next winter-spring timeframe, but all the information can be found on our website, and the full schedule is listed there for the next year and a half.
Okay. And is there, who would be a candidate for this? We use the term management loosely. Is this emerging managers or existing managers? I'm assuming existing.
The Management Academy program is really designed for existing managers who've already been managing for quite some time, and helping them identify, just to sort of enhance their skills a little bit more and learn some new techniques, especially in today's workforce. Dealing with different generations in the workforce is a big topic there, but really helping them navigate through those waters.
Right. And what's the time? I know you said how long the classes were, but there's usually more work outside of that classroom. What's that kind of time commitment look like?
Well, we set it up so that they're coming back. It's over the course of a couple of weeks, one day for 4 sessions. Okay. But we have them practicing real life examples within their teams, so it's not really homework that they're taking home to do at night, but they're actually really taking away some tactical action items that they can put in place and sort of test the waters and see how it's going and talk about it when they come back into class.
Right. We've talked about other programs there where the cohort actually is bonding and networking together. Is that something this course would do as well?
Absolutely. We were awarded this grant about a year and a half ago for some communication and soft skill type training. Those cohorts of students or participants really formed a bond, and they were able to talk with each other and share best practices and share challenges, figure out what works for one and might not work for the other, just really gain some insight into how others are operating and managing and communicating a little bit differently.
Right. And before we started our interview, there is actually a program not grant funded, but for emerging managers.
Yes, so we do. We have a new and emerging manager program. It's specifically designed with our small business employers in mind. It's actually online blended, so the majority of it is actually online, and then there will be some in-class sessions where they'll engage in some team activities with our instructor who's teaching that course. And that starts right in the beginning of October.
Anything else you want to talk about from the center?
We're launching a lot of exciting programs this semester. We're always looking at new and emerging industries. We're always eager to hear feedback from employers in the region on what they're looking for. We're out and about in the community working with several employers on some on-site customized training programs. So if any employer has any interest in that, we're happy to talk that through and explore some options.
Right, and the website?
www.capecod.edu/CCAPE, CCAPE.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Tammy.
Thank you very much.
Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. While the summertime beach season is winding down, Barnstable is gearing up for Coast Sweep 2019 at local beaches. The main cleanup will take place on Sunday, September 22nd, 9 a.m. to noon at Sandy Neck Beach Park. Sponsored by the Massachusetts Office of Coastal Zone Management, thousands of Coast Sweep volunteers remove debris that would otherwise pollute our oceans, beaches, lakes, and rivers. Participants collect bags of trash and debris and record their findings onto data cards. The data is sent to the Ocean Conservancy and entered in a massive marine debris database. This information is then analyzed and used to identify the sources of marine debris, which helps to prevent the problem in the future. If you're interested in volunteering, contact the local coordinator, friend Stepanis, at 508-862-4046. Comments, suggestions, accolades? Connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works for you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.